Aloha Sangha, welcome. I see you waving. Does that mean you can hear me? Okay, yay. So you might want to have a blanket nearby. If you have sensitive knees, we'll be doing some things kneeling. So feel free to go grab some kind of support if that might be helpful to you. Yeah, Davey, is that a new yoga mat that's like ginormous? Amazing. Two mats. I guess same, right?
You'll love this. I actually now have my students bringing two mats to class because they know that they want that coverage. So thank you.
I tried to dial it back and keep it a little tamer today, but you'll feel free to roll all over the place even if I don't guide you to do so. I know you know how. Hi everybody, welcome. I'm Abaya and I am so excited to get to practice yoga with you guys. We'll be starting on our bellies. Take a quarter turn to your left and gently start to, can you zoom out, paw out the hands so you can gently lower to the mat, and let this be part of your practice, being conscious as you move. It's not about the destination, but each moment of support along the way. And once you arrive on your belly, stack the hands, allow the elbows to come wide, bring the forehead to the hands. And as Babaji has been guiding us to do so, soften. Let yourself release. Let yourself ungrip. If this position is not comfortable, I invite you to find a restful position where you can let go of any tension in the body. Sometimes using a blanket to prop up the arms a little higher can be more comfortable on the chest. Feel free to try something like that. And then once you do find a comfortable position, start to notice your natural breath flow. And imagine that the breath isn't just filling the lungs, but it's filling the entire space of the body. And witness that sense of expansion as you inhale. And then as you stay expansive, let yourself ungrip completely as you exhale. And we'll be taking several breaths here. Please give yourself permission to make little adjustments with the elbows so that the shoulders can be as comfortable as possible. You can play with lengthening out through the back of the neck, so that means tucking the chin and reaching the crown of the head slightly forward. Sometimes walking the feet a little wider is more comfortable on the low back. Give yourself the freedom to explore and release. And we'll just take a few more natural breaths here, letting the steady rhythm of the breath soothe the body and the mind. Ever so gently, begin pushing into the left elbow, and as you do so, notice how the body subtly shifts to the right. So you might feel the left shoulder pushing you over to the right. The forehead might roll a little bit, and then push into the other elbow. And so now you're gently activating the right arm, and the body pushes away from the right arm. This is really small. We're just starting to wake up awareness in the arms. If at any time this isn't comfortable, adjust the angle of the arms or don't push as hard. This should be a very small and subtle movement, almost as if you're an inflatable raft, and one arm at a time is filling with air and just becoming a little more expansive, and then the other one takes over. Come back to center, reach the arms forward and keep the forehead down towards the earth. Notice any sense of release through the armpits and the neck. Breathe into the back of the shoulders. And then gently lift the right foot, reach it straight back, and draw some little circles with the right foot. Keep the low back soft and let most of the support come from the hip socket, the back of the hip. Less is more. We're just waking up the joints here. The foot can get involved if you'd like to circle the right foot as well. And then set the right foot down. Drag the hands back underneath the shoulders. Feel the shoulder blades slide slightly down the back. Once the hands are underneath the shoulders, traction the hands back to peel the heart forward and up. Effortless Bhujangasana, nice and easy, not too high. And then with your next exhale, gently melt down. Slide just the left arm forward this time. Lift the right foot once again, so same side that you were doing before. This time, reach the right leg up, cross it over the left, push into the right hand, and allow the right leg to stretch behind you, just opening the front of the hip. Make any adjustments so the left arm feels comfortable. And on your next exhale, gently come back to center, and we'll be pulsing through those shapes. I'll guide you through it, but we'll repeat that a few times. So drag both hands back, take your nice easy cobra, letting the top of the body gently inflate, no tension in the back as you do this. And then exhale to slide the left arm forward, melt down, lift the right foot, and gently cross it behind you. If it's more comfortable, you can play with bending the right knee. Just make sure there's no pressure in the low back, whatever option you're choosing. One last time to the belly. Drag the left hand back right into your cobra. Inhale to lengthen and expand. Relax through the low back. And then exhale, slide the left hand forward, melt down, lift the right leg. This time, reach the right arm forward in line with the left, and notice how that changes. You've got a little more to pull against as your right leg reaches back. Reach your right arm forward and feel that line of tension that almost prevents the right leg from being able to go back. And then gently bend both knees, roll onto the left side. You should be facing me, hopefully, if you're set up parallel. If not, just listen carefully. Release your head down, look down at the knees, and I know you can't see your feet, but try to feel the heels coming in line with the hips. So the knees are bent. Bring your hand to your hip socket and relax your left arm, relax your head so you're nice and supported here. Keep the pelvis steady and keep the feet together as you gently start to lift the right knee. And then lower it back down. We'll take a few of these clamshell movements, and less is more here. We want the deeper layer of our glute muscles to activate, and so sometimes when you lift too high, bigger muscles take over. So be nice and gentle. If you want a little physical feedback, you can bring your hand to the back of the hip, and you might notice that deeper layer of gluteus medius turning on to lift the right leg. The next time the knee lowers, we'll do the opposite. So the knees stay together, and now the right foot lifts for a little internal rotation. And then lower the leg down and take a few on your own. I always feel like a mermaid when I do this, so if that helps you get into the movement, feel free to let that visualization be revealed to you. And then we'll combine the two actions. So the next time the foot lowers, lift just the knee, keep it lifted, and then try the internal rotation mermaid flick. And then lower the foot down and close the knee. And so first we have our external rotation. We stay there as we internally rotate. If that's too much or doesn't feel good, feel free to do the first version where the knee stays down when you go into internal rotation. We'll do that just one last time. And then the next time the right leg rests, bring the right hand to touch the left. Pause for a moment on the side and then gently start to bend the knees and elbows towards one another, curling into the fetal position or 5% of the fetal position. And then lengthen hands and feet apart, oozing and lengthening out. We'll do a few of these. I call them Protozoa Pulses. So you can imagine yourself as a single cell organism in the primordial soup, just swimming along. Very easy to not have a thought when you don't have a brain. And the next time you reach out, keep reaching until you can gently roll back on to the belly. Back to the beginning. Stack the hands, elbows wide, and pause, scan the body. We did a lot of asymmetrical things, so just notice what's tingling, what's waking up. And then we'll balance that all out on the second side. So start by reaching the arms forward, release the head down. This time, reach the left foot back. It doesn't have to lift very high. It's more an experience of length. Start to draw some little circles with the left foot and notice how when the foot circles, the relationship between the thigh bone and the hip socket changes. Give yourself that little massage and try to keep the pelvis steady so it's the muscles around the hips and not the low back doing the work. And then set the left foot down, drag the hands underneath the shoulders. Once they're planted, traction them back to lengthen the heart forward and up, baby cobra. And then slide just the right arm forward this time. Lift the left leg and gently cross it behind you. Keep the left hand planted as the left leg reaches, so you stay with your heart pointed downwards, but you get some hip opening and length. Take a breath. And then gently come back to center, and we'll repeat that. So the right arm slides back, baby cobra. And then melt the right arm forward, gently lifting left leg, opening the hip. Option to bend the knee if that's more comfortable, keeping it nice and gentle. And you can move at your own pace, pulling back into cobra, keeping the low back soft, and then just melting the right side of the body, allowing the left hip to unfold. The next time you're at center, reach both arms forward, and with one last time, the left leg will lift and cross over. Now reach the left arm away from the left foot, letting that whole left side open. And we'll go through the same clamshell exercise. I know you're facing away from me. I'll still cue it, but hopefully you remember it. And so bend the knees, line the heels up with the hips. Take a moment to adjust the bottom arm, let yourself get comfortable. And then bring left hand to the left hip. You want to keep the hips nice and stable, and just the left knee lifts. The feet stay together. Take a couple of these external rotation movements. And if it's hard to do it without seeing me, feel free to flip around. That's totally fine. Less is more. And the next time the knee lowers, we'll go for internal rotation. So now the knees stay together and the left heel lifts. and lowers. At any point, if you would like to pause in any of these movements and breathe, you are more than welcome to. I'm just guiding you through a pathway, but if you find an interesting place to explore, please follow your own inner guidance. Next time the foot lowers, we'll combine the movement. So first, lift the left knee, and then keep it lifted as you lift the left heel for internal rotation. Lower left heel, lower left knee. Repeat a few times on your own, and you can always go back to that simpler version that separated the internal and external rotation. One more. And the next time the legs are stacked, bring the left hand on top of the right. Pause for a moment on the side body. Breathe. And then gently start to bend the elbows. Squeeze elbows gently towards the knees. And then reach hands and feet apart in this pulsing protozoa movement. And if it's uncomfortable or too much, try to move less. Maybe you're not going through your whole range of motion, but there's a greater sense of connecting the limbs into the core, a greater sense of effortless effort. See how much you can ooze. And the next time everything lengthens out, slowly roll back onto the belly, stack the hands and pause. Take a couple of breaths and notice any sense of feeling more relaxed and supported here. Maybe there's more space underneath the shoulders or space in the front of the hips. Gently bring the elbows underneath the shoulders with the fingers pointed forward and shift the weight from elbow to elbow, giving yourself some room to explore and find the most supported Sphinx position possible. Once you find a place where the shoulders can relax because they're supported by the elbows, pause there. Gently traction the arms backward and notice how you can lengthen your spine and allow the heart to emerge between the biceps. Beautiful. With your next exhale, look down and puff out the space between the shoulders ever so gently. It doesn't have to be dramatic. And then on your next inhale, go back into that original Sphinx pose, letting the shoulder blades slide down the back, letting the heart emerge. And play with these two shapes on your own pace, exhaling to puff through the back of the body, letting the scapula wrap, and then inhaling to expand and emerge. Adjust the arms at any time. I'm finding that I want my arms a little wider than where I initially put them. You can also play with the angle of the forearms. My fingers are gently pointed towards one another. There's no right or wrong as long as you feel supported. The next time you're in Sphinx, bend the left knee, gaze over the right shoulder, and then come back to center, bend the right knee, gaze over the left shoulder. And just take a couple of these side to side. And then come back to center, gently reach back through both legs. One last moment in our back bend. Let the front of the body lengthen. Keep the back body soft. And then drape the body back down onto the mat. Guide the hands back and gently push into the hands to send the hips consciously back to the heels into Bhaktasana. Melt the forehead. If this is not a resting pose for you, try a cat pose. Give yourself a moment to counter those back bends, and if it feels comfortable, push into one shin at a time and notice how it rocks you from side to side, massaging the armpits, forehead, forearms, fingertips. From here, allow the pelvis to get really heavy. Drop the tailbone towards the heels, and notice how the low back starts to round when you do that. Play with stacking one vertebra at a time. Take your time, slowly coming up to kneeling, enjoying the pathway there. Beautiful conscious movements, everybody. Once you've arrived, push down into the shins, slowly floating up to kneeling. Reach the hands behind you and stay pretty neutral. Avoid a back bend here, even though it might seem natural. And we're going to repeat that a couple of times. So reach the hands forward, send the hips back like a kneeling chair pose, and then release the hands down back to Bhaktasana. Here we are for that slow kneeling stack you all did so beautifully. Heavy pelvis, roll up one vertebra at a time. You don't want to feel any strain in the low back or neck, so feel free to support yourself with your hands. And then push down into the shins, coming up to neutral. This might be a good time to grab your blanket underneath the knees if you feel any knee sensitivity. We'll just go through that 2 more times. Hinge at the hips, kneeling chair. Melt back down into Bhaktasana, letting the back body expand. Breathe into any tension or just breathe space into the heart. Push down into the shins, slowly glide the arms back, stack one vertebra at a time to kneeling. This time you can come all the way up to kneeling all at once if that feels okay. Last one, kneeling chair. Release into Bhaktasana. Push down into the shins, slowly roll up either to a low kneel or a high kneel, whatever feels best for you. Beautiful. Pause at kneeling. Shift the weight into the right foot and bring the left foot in front of you for a very short lunge. We're going to wake up our left foot. If it's comfortable, try bringing the hands down. It's almost like you're in starting blocks. You're in the Olympics. Congratulations. Anchor the left toe down and start to rock the weight to the inside of the ankle and the outside of the ankle. And the big toe being anchored is going to limit your mobility here. So just gentle rocks inside and out to wake up some stability in the ankle. Be mindful of your knee. You want to make sure there's no pressure in your knee here. If you feel any pressure, keep more weight in your heel and walk the foot forward a little bit so the knee is more supported. As the ankle rocks in and out, try to find that happy medium in the middle where there's just enough lift on the inside ankle bone and the outside ankle bone. And now we'll do something similar forward and back, bending into the front knee. It is safe for it to come past the ankle as long as the weight is in your heel and you've got support through the back of the left leg. If you're feeling pressure in the knee, try to press down with the left heel and don't go quite as far with the knee, but don't be afraid. If you feel supported and relaxed, then you're safe. And pause once you find a nice place for the knee to stack. Keep that big toe anchored. Similar movement to rolling up that we did from kneeling. Send the hips back just a little bit. Push down into the back shin and the front leg. Let the pelvis be really heavy and slowly stack the spine. If you need extra help, push the hand into the thigh and then scoop the air up, letting the whole front of the body open. Inch the front foot slightly forward, maybe slightly to the left. Notice how that feels if you haven't tried that before. And straighten the front leg just a little bit and drop the arms. We're going to take some gentle pulses here. With your next exhale, bend into the front knee, scoop the air up, and then inhale, float back to center. Continue with your own breath. You can always pause. And as you pulse through this very gentle range of motion, try to tap into that sense of weightlessness that Babaji talked about in satsang. As the front knee bends, allow the hips to gently melt. Doesn't matter how far we go here, we just want to feel supported and buoyant. And the next time you're in the lunge, pause for a moment, push down into the back foot and the front foot, let the whole front body open. And then release the hands inside of the left foot. Bring more weight into the right hand and circle the left arm forward, up, and back, circling into the left knee. Take a few gentle circles like this. Make sure you're still breathing. And it's less about the arm and it's more about the spine rotating. So think of the arm like a rudder. And as the arm changes directions, the body follows. It's almost like you don't have a shoulder and the arm is just turning the heart. The next time the hand comes down, gently lengthen through the front leg, kicking into the front heel. Wag your tail a little bit, letting that front leg extend. It should feel like relief after lunging. And then tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and send the left foot back to meet the right. Pause in plank for just a moment. And then lower the knees, hips to heels. We'll prepare for the second side, beginning with a little pause here. Breathe through the back body, letting the rib cage expand, letting the heart expand. And then push down into the shins, simultaneously sending the hips forward as you stack one vertebra at a time, coming up to that high kneeling position. And then shift the weight into the left knee, short lunge with the right foot. Step the right foot slightly over to the right so you've got space for both hands inside the right foot. Really short lunge here. I'm sorry I didn't offer this on the first side. Feel free to use blocks here if that's more comfortable. And we'll start waking up the ankle. So anchor the big toe and then play with shifting the weight to the inside of the ankle, the outside of the ankle. Notice what changes in the arch of your foot as you shift weight. Notice how the anchoring of the big toe activates the muscles in the foot. So there's a lot of support in the ankle. And then try to find the sweet spot in the middle, just like Babaji has been guiding us in finding our seat, where there's equal lift on the inner ankle and outer ankle. And sometimes people are surprised that the arch doesn't need to lift quite as high as they think for the foot to be really balanced and strong. So just be open to it looking different than you expect. And then we'll go forward and back. Feel free to walk the foot forward a little bit, especially if you feel any pressure in your knee. But remember, you want to keep the weight in that heel. This action of flexing the ankle is really essential for being able to walk, run, jog, squat. Bring your awareness down into the ankle and try to feel a sense of fluidity and support. And then find a comfortable place for the knee to stack. Send the hips back just a little bit. Push down into the back shin. Heavy pelvis as you stack one vertebra at a time, scooping the air up in our short Anjane Asana. Take a couple of breaths in this exalted position. And then release the arms down, kick into the front leg just a little bit, just so it can expand slightly. Take a breath in your own pace. And on your next exhale, bend the front knee, send the hips forward, scoop the air up, one fluid motion. Your own pace. The inhale will take you up, floating, buoyant. And then the exhale allows you to extend the front of the body in Anjane Asana. Take a couple of pulses on your own. Try to find how light you can make this movement, how much ease you can find. So nice, everyone. I love practicing with Sangha. You're so conscious and compassionate. Next time you're in Anjane Asana, pause there. Take a couple of breaths. And then release the hands down inside of the front leg. We'll go for our circles. So shift the weight into the left hand, reach the right arm forward, up and back. Give yourself permission to adjust where the front leg is. Maybe it needs to walk forward or out a little so you've got some space. Try a few things. And again, allow the arm to direct the heart. And the next time the arm comes down, pause there, gently kick into the front heel. The leg doesn't need to straighten, but feel that sense of lengthening the hips back towards the back heel. Wag the tail a little bit. You've got multiple hamstrings, and wagging the tail allows you to lengthen all of them. Keep breathing, keep connecting to the deeper layer of the heart. And bend into the front knee, tuck the back toes, lengthen the back knee upward, and then send the right foot back to meet the left. Pause in plank or lower the knees and pause in Bhaktasana. It's up to you. If you're in plank, I invite you to gently shift the weight from hand to hand so you can feel a little more turning on one side body and then the other. If you're in Bhaktasana, send the weight forward into plank. We'll all bend the knees towards the mat, but keep them hovering. Push into the hands, bend the knees even deeper. Send the hips up and back into a leapfrog position. So the hips are coming towards the heels, and the spine can lengthen as the hips reach up and back. Down dog prep pose. Take a breath here. And then play with allowing the legs to unfold effortlessly. Again, like they're a raft filling with air. You don't feel it happen in one place, but evenly all over. Option to wag the tail a little bit here if that feels good. And then we'll all start to sway the hips from side to side, and we'll take an elephant walk back towards our feet. So as the hips sway to the left, let the right hand drag in a few inches towards the right foot, and then sway the hips the other way so the other hand can drag in. Bend the knees as deeply as you need to. You don't want to feel any strain in the body. If this is not comfortable, find your way into a forward fold at the back of your mat in a more comfortable way. Once you've arrived there, bend the knees really dramatically so the body can drape onto the thighs. Hands can be on the thighs, the shins, or the floor, as long as you feel supported. Take a couple of breaths through the back of the body. And then let the sits bones get really heavy so the pelvis drops slightly towards the heels. Keep the big toes anchored, and then walk the hands up to the thighs. Lengthen the spine forward and keep dropping the pelvis. Push into the hands to allow the body to start to float. And then expand the legs and gently come up to Tadasana. You might be in a perfectly balanced place, in which case pause there. Otherwise, give yourself permission to walk the feet out underneath you until the pelvis feels supported. And just pause, standing. Today, Babaji talked about Tadasana in satsang. That was very exciting. He said it's like being Mount Fuji. You've got this broad pyramid-like base where you're strong and firm, yet you reach upward effortlessly. There's this lightness as well as strength. Take a few breaths into the heart or the navel, whatever feels right to you, and play with that visualization of being strong yet light, anchored yet floating. And gently flicker the eyes open. Take a couple of breaths and imagine your perspective zooming up and out so you're watching yourself standing in Tadasana. And start to gently walk across your yoga mat and then beyond, off the yoga mat, into the world. Notice the sensation in the feet and the ankles. We did some subtle ankle work, and just be conscious of any sense of support and grounding. Keep breathing and expanding as you move, and try to release any doership. You do not have to make yourself walk. You can literally walk in your sleep. So actually imagine you're sleeping and you have no control over this action and you're just letting it happen. How relaxed can you be? How much can you release and soften? Walking is supposed to be one of the most efficient things we do as humans. How can you save energy in this action? And we'll take a few more steps, and now is actually a good time to have a sip of water, so keep on walking to your water bottle if you would like. And then eventually we'll make our way back to the mat, but take your time with the walking and with the water. Okay, and I apologize, I didn't tell you guys to do this before class. Most of you are in this orientation, but feel free to turn your mat so you're parallel to me, because the next stuff we're going to be doing is all standing at the wide edge. So if your space allows, go ahead, and if it doesn't, I'm sure you'll be able to follow along. You'll be just fine. Okay, wonderful. So take a moment to become Mount Fuji again. And we'll play with a little neurological exercise for the toes. Be patient, be compassionate, but see what's possible. Lift your hands, because your hands are a really nice way to work with the feet as well. And play with putting your thumb down and then putting your fingers down and lifting your thumb. And alternate a few times. So first the thumbs go down and then the thumbs lift and the fingers go down. This is what we're going to try to do with our feet. You have the muscles to do them, but the issue is having that pathway open. So be really patient. Let's start with trying to anchor the big toes and lift all the other toes. Once you've got that, try to switch and lower the toes and lift the big toe. And take your time. You can do one foot at a time if it feels too hard to do both. You can mirror it with the hands if that seems to help. And this should be fun. If you've discovered, like, wow, this is surprisingly challenging, congratulations. You've got something new to work on. It really does get easier, I promise. Just try a couple more repetitions. And then the next time the big toe is down and the toes are trying to lift up, spread them out and try to put one toe down at a time, as wide as you can. And then release the hands. Keep the toes down as you rock a little weight back into the heels, letting the rib cage float, letting the pelvis float. And then bend into the right knee, so more weight is in the right heel. Let the left leg point out to the side, and then shift the weight over to the left leg. Same thing, so bring the weight into the heel, bend the left leg, let the right leg lift and extend. And do this a couple of times, coming out into a straddle stance. You don't have to go very far. We want to feel really supported, so it's okay if it's a little shorter than usual. That's fine. And once you've found your straddle, pause there, look down at the feet, and play with keeping the big toe anchored as you roll a little extra weight in the outer edge of the foot. And notice what happens to the arch of the foot and that inner ankle. Allow the arches to collapse, so do the opposite, and then try it again, bringing the outer foot down but keeping the big toe anchored. Do this a couple of times and notice any sensations of lift through the inner leg and through the pelvic floor as the big toe stays anchored and the outer edge of the foot drops down and the arches lift. Pause there. Breathe. Let that lift lengthen the spine and the crown of the head. And then turn the toes out, bring the heels in, preparing for goddess pose. And you don't want to have any pressure in your knees. So if you're feeling pressure, try turning the toes forward a little bit more or take a shorter stance. Bring your arms to a T, kind of like you've got big, beautiful wings. Push down with your wings to float your hips up a couple of inches. And then allow the wings to glide open and allow the hips to lower a little bit. Take a few pulses on your own. If you'd like to sync this with your breath, I enjoy exhaling up and inhaling in, but you can do whatever is comfortable for you. And again, try to find that sense of being weightless. Let go of any desire to go deep into the pose or to stretch the hips, and instead allow yourself to effortlessly soar like a bird catching a breeze. It's not thinking, it's just gliding effortlessly. The next time you're in the squat, stay low. We're going to sneak into Virabhadrasana 2. Turn the right toes out towards the short edge of the mat, and then slowly reach the left heel out so that the left toes turn in slightly. Push evenly into both feet and allow the arms to float weightlessly. Turn the gaze over the right middle finger. If the arms are tired, give them a break. This is more about the legs anyway, so you don't have to stress it. Take a couple of breaths here and bring your awareness back to that outer edge of the back foot. See if it can anchor down. Keep the big toe anchored and try to find that lift up the inner thighs, up to the pelvic floor, along the spine, the crown of the head. Release the arms down, straighten both legs. We'll stay in this stance, but see how much you can relax here to give yourself a little break before we do more. Lift the left shoulder, circle it up and back. Right shoulder circles up and back. Do this a couple of times if it feels soothing. Nice. Yeah, you can add some flair to it, Anju. That looks beautiful. And then come back to center. Gently bend again into the right knee. Take a moment to allow the knee to knock in, allow it to knock out, kind of like we played with shifting the weight in the ankle. And find that sweet spot where there's support on the inside and the outside of the knee. Big toe always stays down. Push into the back foot, let it send your weight forward, and then keeping the knee bent, push into the front foot, let it send your weight back, and play with this tug of war, allowing the spine to snake gently from side to side. So beautiful. Nice Kamalaya. Looks like you're surfing. The next time you reach forward, lower the right hand to the thigh. We'll play with a very short Utthita Parshva Konasana. So keep your stance here. Circle the left arm up. Push into the outer edge of the left foot just like we've played. Take a couple of breaths to lengthen through the whole left side. If you want an extra challenge, you don't have to, but on your next exhale, play with hovering the bottom arm and then inhale to put it back down. All right, you went for it. Take a couple if that felt okay. And the next time the arm comes down, gently use your top arm as a rudder to steer the heart down and then steer the heart open. And take a few of these shearing movements to open through the whole left side of the body. Nice. If you find a place you'd like to pause and breathe, give yourself that permission. And then push into the right foot, slowly coming back up. Turn all 10 toes to the side, release the arms down, and heel toe the feet in. We'll do the second side, but it can be nice to draw everything back together. So re-find your Mount Fuji pose. And without tension or doership, ever so gently traction the feet towards one another. And as you do that, see if you can find a little extra lift, a little extra lightness and weightlessness through the pelvis and the spine. We're not trying to grip, we're just trying to find that buoyancy that allows you to float above all tension. Something sinks you and you just float right back up to the surface. Okay, so to come into the straddle again, you can do it the same way we did before, where you shift from side to side, extending one leg at a time. If your joints are feeling nice and supported, you can play with bouncing to your straddle. Just make sure there's no pressure in your knees when you do that. Yeah, you can keep bouncing if it feels good. Imagine you're on an energetic trampoline. And then pause at center, toes out, knees out. Second round of goddess pose. Start to sway the hips from side to side. Give yourself some room to explore. If this feels sticky or tight and you can't really sway, it means you've gone too far. But you guys all look very fluid, so good job. And then pause at center. Be aware of the back of the hips and the sits bones reaching gently towards the heels. Fan the arms out. Take a couple of those eagle pulses. And the next time you're in the squat, we'll sneak into Virabhadrasana 2 on the other side. So left toes turn out, right heel turns out. Pause in Vira 2. Make any adjustments that help you feel supported, especially checking in with the left knee. You can play with that exercise of dropping the knee in and out till you find the sweet spot of balance on the ankle. Take a couple of breaths, gaze over the left middle finger, and give yourself permission to release the arms at any time. Right? Part of being compassionate is tuning into, am I wasting energy? Am I expending unnecessary energy? So give yourself that space. And then we'll all release the arms down, straighten the front leg, and try to find a sense of relief for a moment, though of course there is still some effort here. Take a few of those back circles with the shoulders. And then back into our pose, gently bending the knees, floating the arms up, and we'll wave from side to side, letting the movement originate at the feet. So one foot pushes and sends the spine gently the opposite direction. Nice. See how fluid and effortless you can make this, just like the tide rolling out and receding. The next time you're reaching over to the left, lower left hand to thigh, circle the right arm up, lengthen through the whole right side, and bring your extra attention to the outer edge of the right foot, suctioning down so that the arch of the foot can lift, and perhaps you feel a sense of support traveling up the inner thigh, up the spine, all the way up through the crown of the head. Whenever you're ready, you can play with steering the heart up and down, allowing the layers of tissue on the right side body to move You always have permission to pause. Oh, it's nice having Satyam in the room. He reminded me, I forgot to let you guys do this one. So if you liked this one, feel free to do it. And I recommend lifting the bottom arm on an exhale. This is an amazing way to turn on the deep core musculature. So you might notice that even though you're not moving, something's changing in that deeper layer of your core. And then pause for one last moment. Make sure you're breathing. Push into the bottom foot. Turn all 10 toes to center, and let's gently begin tipping forward into Prasarita Padutanasana. I'll turn to the side. Keep the weight in the big toe and the heels evenly as you tip, and then bend the knees generously. Bring the hands to the thighs. As long as there's no pain or strain, you can gently release the spine forward. The hands can slide down the legs or come underneath the face. If you like, push into one foot at a time, gently swaying from side to side. And we're making our way to the earth. I will cue one way, but you can just come to the earth however is most comfortable for you. I'm going to bend my right knee, bring my right toes underneath me, and slowly lower the knee, and then bring my left leg into tabletop. If that is not comfortable, just gently make your way to a kneeling position. All right. So let's kneel facing the screen so you can see me. Shift the weight over to the right and stagger the legs as long as there's no pain in the knees. So we've got 90-degree angles with the legs. Keep the feet nice and active here and gently start to twist to the right. And then as you untwist, lift the knees so you're in I don't know what this, so you're like this. And then allow the knees to lower the other way. And now it's a yogi's choice moment. You can stay in the twist a little bit longer, or if you enjoyed that sense of rotation through the hip sockets, you can keep flowing from side to side. So taking the twist and then rolling over. So it's totally up to you. If you're staying in the pose longer, take several breaths, letting the spine lengthen, and gently twist from the bottom up. And the next time you are twisting to the right, just because of all of the external hip rotation we've been doing in meditation, we'll do one more internal hip rotation. Keep the left knee down, but gently lift the left foot. And you might hardly move here. That's totally okay. Take a couple of these little mermaid kicks just to get a little internal rotation with the thigh. And you can see how I'm barely moving, so be very compassionate with yourself. Just opposing that position of meditation. Nice, Ananda Devi. You've got a lot of range of motion there. And then we'll switch over to the other side, and you can try it on the other side, and it might be different. And then gently come back to center into this position that I didn't have a name for. Bring your hands underneath your thighs and pull on the thighs, and notice how when you do that, there's a sense of having more support at your center. Use that support to very slowly start to lower down. We're just coming onto our back. You can get there however you want, but if you're enjoying the challenge of supporting yourself all the way down, play with it. Let the legs reach out as the spine lengthens as a counterbalance, and see how long you can support yourself. I promise it's way harder when you're talking. So try talking if it was too easy. Give yourself extra challenge. And if that sounded good, give yourself permission to sigh audibly. And let your physical body soften and melt. Notice if it's a little easier to be in tune with the prana body, the breath. Let yourself observe that layer for a moment. And you're welcome to keep observing the breath, or you can dive even deeper towards the heart. And after an hour of asana and so many days of meditation, an experience of the heart might be effortless. This vast, spacious inner reservoir can come to the forefront, and you can just release into it, letting it support you completely in your shavasana. And we'll rest like this for several minutes. Take your time breathing into your cells, letting consciousness flood your body and gently bring you upright, however you prefer. We'll all meet with hands at heart center. And we're really lucky to have the birthday girl in our yoga class. So in our most soothing Shavasana voices, let's sing Cat happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cat. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Happy birthday, and may you all feel the nectar of the new year. It's kind of like it's all our birthdays too. Thank you so much for practicing. Enjoy the rest of your intensive. Our next class is in 90 minutes. Last night Baba was there, so always good to come early. That's 6:30 Mountain Time, but 6:15, however early you can get there. See you guys soon. Aloha and Happy New Year. And happy birthday.
Aloha, Abaya. Do you have just a second?
Sure, absolutely.
I just love that practice so much. It's so nourishing and gives such a sense of body awareness, and it's very different from any yoga I've practiced before. I would so much love to bring this into the prison where they need just nourishing connection to the body. And so I'll talk to you at some point. I don't know if I should start coming to your classes. I don't really need a whole certification, but I'd love to talk to you more about it because this is just what I'm comfortable with.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that it served you, and I feel a very strong connection to wanting to help the prison population, so I'm so excited by you bringing this to them. I do have weekly classes, and I'll tell you more about other things because we do have trainings. Yeah, Davy did all 500 hours, and then she just logged out, but she started coming to our 300-hour trainings because they incorporate all of this stuff. So if you love it, we'd love to share it with you. So let's be in touch.
And Sajong developed this kind of new technique or style.
That is a hard it's sort of like it has emerged. You know how Babaji was talking about visualization and you don't have to create it. That's what my experience has been as I've, studied a lot of anatomy and explored it myself and allowed something that feels really natural and nourishing to reveal.
I really love it, and it's the kind of flow I would love to teach. So thank you so much, and see you later.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. Aloha, everyone. Thanks for practicing.
You said see you later. I think we'll be seeing you soon.
Oh.
Soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Cool. Look forward to it.
Way to go, Mukti. You did the whole thing. Great job. Happy birthday, Kat. So great to see you.